So the only reason I watched this movie is because of the title and the poster. So as usual, I'm doom scrolling on social media and I come across this movie called Shoot First, Die Later. I'm like, damn, this is going to be a violent movie. And then I see the poster and I'm like, this is going to be super violent. Turns out it's neither of those things. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not like there isn't a lot of shooting first, dying later. Does have a decent car chase scene. Alright, so Shoot First, Die Later is a 1974 Italian film directed by Fernando De Lio. It stars Luke Merenda, Richard Conte, and Salvo Redon, amongst other people, with a story by Sergio Donati. Now, the reason I'm specifically mentioning story by is because that's the hero of the movie. Everything else in the movie is fairly mediocre. The only reason this film works is because of the story. So I'll just, briefly go over the plot of the movie before I, move over to my review. So the movie starts off with like these series of sort of what you think are unconnected events. So it opens up and there's this mob sort of breaks into a meeting of another gang and then just beats people up and kills a few people. Then you get to this old man who lives next to the river, and he's going out to get his cat some milk. But someone has parked his car like right outside his gate, so he can't get out of the house.
Fino alla latteria per dare il latte a te. E chiami questa cosa qua.
Then we cut to this bowling alley, and you have these two guys from Portugal, and that's where we meet our hero for the first time. Our hero is like an undercover police officer, and these guys want to smuggle in some guns. Then we get to the next morning, and the hero is having like coffee with his girlfriend.
Ho sonno.
Ma com'è possibile? Ma va, hai sonno tutte le ore, sei una dormiglione.
And a jewelry store gets robbed, and then you get this this super long chase scene, because I guess the writer decided let's open up with like some really fun action scene. So you get like a 5-minute car chase. Like, it's not the greatest car chase you've seen, it's probably one of the longest ones I've seen. And then eventually they catch the robbers, and the hero ends up at the police station, and the commissioner is like, oh, you did a good job, congratulations. And then we meet the hero's father, who is also a police officer, played by Salvo Redon, and he's a lesser ranking police officer than his son, but he's really proud of his son, because he looks at his son like he's a hero and he catches bad guys, so he's really proud of him.
Mio figlio è un eroe.
Dai, papà.
And then we find out that the hero is not exactly like the honest police officer that his father thinks he is. He's actually on the payroll of a gang, and he's not very happy about it, because initially the gang was just smuggling in like coffee and like general contraband, like cigarettes and stuff, but now they're sort of moving into smuggling drugs and guns and things like that. So he's not very happy about that.
Ci costa 50 milioni l'anno.
E vi salvo miliardi.
E ci salvi miliardi.
So they say, okay, you're not very happy about the situation, but just do the small job for us. Like this old man who sort of, made a police complaint about this car that was parked outside. That car belonged to one of our men. So just get the police report for us. And it turns out that the old man has given the police report, where the hero's father works. Like the hero's father runs this small police station. He's like the chief officer over there, and so now the hero is in trouble because he's like, I have to go to my father and ask for the report. And the father thinks that, oh, he's like a really nice, honest detective. And then things just start to escalate. Like then a body shows up, and like things just really start to spiral out of control. So the story is really well written. Like uh, Sergio Donati, I read up a little bit about him online. He started writing films in like 1950s and wrote all the way till like 2008. He was a frequent collaborator with Sergio Leone. He wrote the script for a few dollars more. He wrote Duck You Sucker, which is also known as Fistful of Dynamite. He also wrote Once Upon a Time in the West, amongst like, he wrote about 200 movies or something like that. I don't know, maybe at least 100. So he is, like, if it wasn't for his script, this film doesn't work. Okay, because everything else in the film is like really mediocre. The acting is fine. The lead actor, what was his name? I forgot. Yeah, Luke Merenda he's good looking, but yeah, he's not the greatest actor. There are two people who do a good job. Like Richard Conte is one of the negotiators for the gang. So Richard Conte is generally good because if you recognize the face, he was in Godfather. I believe he was like Barzini in Godfather 1. And Salvador does a good job. Like he's the best actor in the movie because he gets like a bit of a meteor role in the sense that he's the father who thinks like his son is this great police officer and then finds out that he's like a corrupt cop. So he's very disappointed and depressed about that. So he does a good job with that. Beyond that, like the acting isn't really worth talking about. The direction is okay, the cinematography is okay. You get two car chases. The first one is super long but decent. The second one is okay. The movie is okay. Like, but because the script, or the not the script, like the story is really good, and it builds up this nice sort of complex web of like lies and corruption for the hero to sort of like, what am I supposed to do now? That works really well, except for like one problem, which is almost towards the end. Like, so it's sort of like everything is going fine. It's sort of like, imagine it goes from A to B to C, and then instead of D it moves to E. Like D is missing. Like this is a film that where I feel like if this was like even 5 minutes longer, and they had like one scene explaining why this suddenly took this step and escalated everything, the film would make more sense. But as it stands, you have that one gap in the middle where it suddenly goes like, why do this? Like everything is done, like everything is resolved. Why make this jump? But because that jump happens, then I guess the director was like, oh, the movie's called Shoot First, Die Later. It is time, somebody started shooting and somebody started dying. So that's why that jump happens. And you get like, then the violence sort of erupts. Okay, I'm exaggerating. The violence doesn't erupt that much. Like a little bit happens. Like if this was like a Korean or a Japanese movie, like if this was like a Kinji Fukasaku Yakuza movie, this would have been like ridiculously violent. Or even like a Korean movie, it would have been like, the end violence would have been insane. Okay, so the most, given how mediocre the film is, the most hilarious part of the movie is how misleading the advertising is. I mean, so first of all, the synopsis on IMDb is completely wrong. The synopsis says like, gang tries to bribe honest police officer to do work for them, and it's like, he's not honest. Like he's pretty much taking bribes from them from the beginning. So that is like completely wrong. The two posters for the movie, like the first one is like, okay, it's just a graphic of like a guy shooting another guy in the head. It's called Shoot First, Die Later. So it's like, okay. The second poster for the movie is like, it makes it look like a James Bond ripoff, right? And like there's a helicopter on the poster. Like there is no helicopter in the entire film. So it has probably some of the like the most misleading posters that you can find. But as it stands, it's not a bad like crime drama. Like if you're in the mood for a decent uh, police crime drama, this is perfectly serviceable. And the best part is it's on YouTube. So if you just want to, so if you just search for like shoot first die later on YouTube, you can watch it.